In this example, we're going to be creating a scatter plot for distance versus airfare. One of the very first things we need to do is figure out what's going to go on the x-axis, what's going to go on the y-axis. The x-axis is the independent variable, and the y-axis will be the dependent variable. What I like to do is look at my units or look at what x and y are going to represent and try to figure out which one depends on the other. So if we look at this, this looks like lowest priced airfares from Baltimore, and these are flights to these different cities. So do you think the distance flown depends on the price, or the price depends on the distance flown? Well, the second one sounds a little better, right? The price would probably depend on the distance flown. The more that you fly, the longer it takes. You've got to burn more fuel and probably pay your people more because they're working a longer amount of time. So I think the airfare depends on the distance. So airfare is dependent and the distance is independent. This will be the x-axis then. We can even label that right now. So we're going to label this as distance, and it's going to be in miles. This is going to be real tough here for the side, so let me try to write this over here for you. This is going to be airfare in dollars on the y-axis. Now we can also title this thing, so we can title it, lowest priced airfares from Baltimore. Or you could do distance versus airfare or something like that. Lowest priced airfares from Baltimore. Okay. The next thing we need to do is decide on a nice scale to use here. In deciding on a scale, what you need to do is look at the variable, figure out the lowest number and the highest number, and make sure that your scale includes those. There's a variety of ways to tackle this. Let's see if we can determine something for the x-axis. Remember, that's this variable. It looks like the lowest number we have to hit is 109, and the highest number is 1,502. Whew. Let's count off the number of boxes and see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 15, that's 20, and that's 25. One thing you can do is maybe take the difference between the two, which is maybe around 1,400, and then divide that by the number of boxes. And you've got 56 here as being what each box should be, or each grid line. Well, 56 is kind of a goofy value to use. If we use just 50, we've got 25 of them, we'll make it to 1,250, and that's a little low here. We want to include that 1,502. We could do 75, so 75 times 25 would be 1,875, and that would work. So let's make each position here worth 75. So that'll be 75. This would be 150. This would be 300 then. So we could even just go up by 300s every 4 boxes. So this will be 600. This will be 900. It might be a little bit hard to see here on the graph, and as a matter of fact it is. Let me scoot that up for you. So then you've got every 4 boxes is going to be 300 if each grid line would be 75. And then we're going to be 1,200 here, and we're going to be at 1,500 here, and we're going to be at 1,800 right there. Okay, so it looks like we have a nice scale going for the x-axis. Our lowest value, 189, will be like somewhere in here. And then also, our highest value, 1,502, will be over here. You don't want to have all of your data squeezed in on one side, or like all over here, or all over here, or just all in the middle. We want to represent that data using the entire graph, or as much of it as we can. Let's look at the airfare now, and we're going to look at the airfare, and we're going to see here that the airfare, the lowest value, let's see, 124, 108, 108 is the lowest value, and we're looking here at 260. So we've got to go from 108 to 260. Well, in this case, I think if we started at 100 and went to, 0 and went to 300, we would only be fitting the data in here, maybe at the top portion. So we might be able to go from 100 to maybe 300 or somewhere in there. If we count the boxes here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, and we've got 20 boxes, and we have a range between these two of 200. So if we make each box worth 10, that should work, but we have to start at 100. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little break in here. That's a break symbol. I'm going to make this 100, and each box will be worth 10. So this would be 110, 120, 130, 140. This will be 150. Every 5 boxes then would be 50, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've got a 200 up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 250. And this top value then actually is not 5 boxes, so it won't be 300, it'll be 290 right here at the very top. Okay, so now we've got a nice scale that we're using. Our axes are labeled, we've got units, and all we need to do is just plot these things. So I kind of think this is a little bit fun. If there's a bunch of them, it can get a little bit tedious, but let's see if we can get this done. 576 and 164. So 576 will be about right here, and 164 would be right there. So we've got the first one, we've got Atlanta. Boston is 370 and 124. So 370 would be very close to this grid line, and then 124. Well, 124 is going to be right about here. Then we've got Chicago, which is 612 and 143. So 612 and, whoops, 143 would be right here. Dallas, 1216 and 260. So 1216 is very close here. And if we go all the way up to 260, there we have it. Got Dallas. Now we'll do Detroit, 409, 161. So let's see, that's 375. That would be 450. So 409 would fit somewhere in here. And we've got 161. So 161 would be right there. Denver is 1502 and 216. 1502 and 216 is going to be right in here. We got that one. And then we've got Miami, 946 and 180. So 946 and 180, that would be here. Excellent. New York, 189 and 108. Okay. So 189 would be right in here. It's going to be 150, 225. So 189 will be right in here, and 108. So there's our point. And St. Louis is 737 and 180, not to be confused with the airplane. 737. So we've got, let's see, that's 675. This would be 750. So it's going to be a little closer to this line right here, and 180. So we'll come up to 180 right here. Now, these points loosely form a straight line. So in the future, we're going to be taking a look at how closely the points fit the line. We're going to be looking to see if there is any correlation or association between those two things. And our guess is that there is. Our guess is that there's a positive relationship. As the miles go up, the cost of the flight will probably go up. But it's important to investigate these things.